At the beginning of the 1980s, FISA, the International Federation of Automobile Sport, announced a new type of championship for GT cars with Group B regulations. Enzo Ferrari, at the venerable age of 86, did not want to miss out on an opportunity to generate renewed excitement in the Ferrari marque. This project worked miracles for a man of his temperament and enthusiasm, who still possessed a young boy's spirit. Hence, the GTO venture commenced, a venture which would be a milestone in the story of Ferrari, even though Group B was scrapped before the GTO appeared on the track. The 288 GTO was presented to the public in 1984, developed directly from the 308, which had represented the definitive GT car for the previous 8 years. The GTO was, in reality, a turning point in the concept of the grand touring road car. Equipped with 8 cylinders and a capacity of 2.8 litres, the GTO owes its success to the twin turbochargers, which assisted in developing 400 brake horsepower. For a long time, the GTO was the fastest road-going car in the world, with speeds up to and exceeding 300 kilometers per hour, at an acceleration time of only 4.9 seconds to 100 kilometers per hour, and 21.8 seconds to cover the standing kilometre. Undoubtedly, a big contribution to the GTO's design must be attributed to the thoroughbred 308. Although the 288 was based on the 308 Berlinetta, its appearance was more aggressive and its performance dramatically increased. The emphasized bumpers, the perfect streamlining, the updated lighting gave the GTO its identifying image from the beginning. The image which Enzo Ferrari knew would be so important if the GTO were to be properly presented to the international race circuits. With a production run of only 272 models, the 288 GTO was the first road-going Ferrari to be built as a limited edition. Fascinated by the elegant structure and the technical refinement of this grand touring car, hundreds of collectors from all over the world were prepared to do anything to obtain one. In effect, the GTO has become the premier motoring product to be recognised for its construction using composite materials, a new concept for road cars. Perhaps, to understand the background of this car, one needs to talk about it with someone who, from the very beginning, has appreciated its gift of power and its drivability. The GTO is a car which I'm particularly fond of for a number of reasons. It was the first car that I saw being constructed by Ferrari during the winter of '83. It was the car that engineer Enzo Ferrari had longed for because he wanted a car that was distinguishable from the other models in general production at that time. In fact, after the BB, there were no more exciting cars to speak of, and therefore Ferrari needed a car that would be particularly significant. The GTO shared its birthday with the Testarossa. I remember that the test drivers carried out some parallel tests at Fiorano, and the GTO was always faster than the Testarossa. Even though the 288 is similar in appearance to the 308, structurally it's very different. The engine is longitudinal and not transverse. The GTO has a very complex structure and is the basis of a racing car. For this reason, after having asked René Arnoux and me, the drivers of the team at that time, how the tests went and how we found the Formula One car, engineer Enzo Ferrari always asked, "And what do you think of the GTO?" In fact, he asked us every so often if he might try it himself, as he was very fond of the car. I've had this car now for 10 years. It is unmistakably a part of the Ferrari tradition. There is attention to small details, such as the gold-coloured circles, which were designed on behalf of Ferrari to include in the presentation brochure for the launch of the car. The interiors came in two styles. There was a totally black leather interior, or, alternatively, a red and black material one. I chose the latter because the leather seats are slippery, whereas with the material seats, the feeling of stability is greatly improved. I never experienced any problems with my 288, and I did quite a few high-speed kilometers in it. It really is a superb car. A fascinating engine, the heartbeat of this extraordinary car. The 8 cylinders of the GTO are arranged longitudinally and centrally mounted in the space frame, with the extensive turbocharging system above. The two IHI turbochargers work at a pressure of 0.8 bar and are assisted by 2 large intercoolers, allowing the engine of the GTO to produce 400 brake horsepower at 7,000 RPM, an almost unprecedented potential for a car intended for the road. The independent suspension, the hydraulic shock absorbers, the large 16-inch component wheels and special tyres make the GTO extremely competent and reassuring on any surface. A distinction which allowed its stunning namesake, the 250 GTO, to win 3 world championships in 1962, 63 and 64.
I
also made several very long journeys, and I must say that, in contrast with the F40, which was derived directly from the GTO, my car was more comfortable. Not quite so rigid. The cars give similar performance on long journeys. The actual difference between these cars was insignificant. I'd say that structurally, the cars are very similar, indeed very close. The chassis are absolutely identical. The arrangement of the mechanical components are practically the same. The engine and the gearbox of the F40 are directly modelled on the GTO. If we cut the car from here backwards and from this height forwards, and we add the components of the F40, we could conclude that the cars are the same. On the F40, the suspension geometry was adjusted a little to accommodate the slightly larger tyres which were needed, because the F40's engine is more powerful than that of the GTO. But I'd say that all in all, the F40 is more suitable for the racetrack. It's more rigid, less comfortable, and gives a slightly better performance than the GTO. The GTO is really a grand touring car. It's a car that's almost perfect and difficult to improve. It's hard to explain how it feels to see a car being born, being constructed part by part. In fact, some components were assembled in glass fibre by the racing car department and not on the production line. Therefore, it really is a mixture between a road car and a racing car. I'd say it's a true Ferrari Series Grand touring car. It's the Ferrari that the old Commendatore always wanted, and knowing this accentuates the wish to conserve it and keep it forever.
La voglia di conservarla e di tenerla per sempre.
On the GTO, virtually everything has Ferrari features. From the instrument panel with a calibrated speedometer up to speeds of 320 kilometers per hour, down to the last carefully planned detail, all designed to guarantee the best command of the controls and relay of essential information. It's very important for a high-prestige car such as the GTO to guarantee the driver all the necessary facilities on view and at hand to enable him to drive in optimum comfort. On the GTO, the the seats also play their part. Their design echoes that of the Daytona and are anatomically shaped. They allow a comfortable gear change and easy management of the steering, even at low speeds. As Michele Alboreto emphasized, from the 288 GTO, the idea of the F40 was born, a car that became a myth even before it was marketed. And hence, through the 288 Evoluzione first and the F40 later, the legend of the GTO still lives on.